This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I'll tell you what, I'd make this deal. I will sign on to legal status for all of the Dreamers.
Oh, okay.
If, there's an if.
Oh, there's always
a deal.
A compromise, or a deal. It's not a compromise.
If we deport Dick Durbin. If we're going to make a special a special accommodation for 800,000 people, why can't we make a special accommodation for Dick Durbin, even though he's a U.S. citizen?
Well, wait, where will he be deported to? Mars?
I don't care. I mean, since he had a statement to the Dreamers yesterday, he's so impassioned about this, and he's so genuine.
Who cares?
Pick a country that is the home to a lot of the home of origin to a lot of Dreamer families. So somewhere in Central America, perhaps.
Okay. Maybe Venezuela.
I'll tell you what. You were down in Haiti. He could. There's a lot of good work he could do down there, don't you think?
He would love Haiti. The Haitian people will grow in his heart. And I do want to say I'm so glad Hurricane Irma did not hit Haiti.
Yeah. Whew. So Dick Durbin and DiFi.
Yeah.
We're holding, as Senate members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, we're holding a confirmation hearing for two appellate court nominees, Trump nominees for appellate court.
Okay.
One is Michigan Supreme Court Justice Joan Larson. The other is a Notre Dame Law School professor named Amy Barrett. And with respect to Miss Barrett, it was a rather ostentatious display of antipathy towards Catholicism from DiFi and Durbin. Listen to DiFi first, the senior senator from California.
When you read your speeches, the conclusion one draws is that the dogma lives loudly within you. And that's of concern when you come to big issues that large numbers of people have fought for years in this country.
The dogma lives loudly within you. She is referring to Professor Barrett's Catholicism. Does that trouble you at all? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Does it trouble you at all that DiFi is going after this Notre Dame law professor because she is Catholic and, as you'll hear, a faithful Catholic? While you contemplate that question, Dick Durbin, a self-professed Catholic, had this exchange with Professor Barrett.
So let me ask you this question. I'm a product of 19 years of Catholic education, and every once in a while, Holy Mother of the Church has not agreed with a vote of mine.
Church isn't celebrating that.
And has let me know. You use a term in that article, or you both use a term in that article I'd never seen before. You refer to Orthodox Catholics. What's an Orthodox Catholic?
As I recall, that term, we said something like, for lack of a better term, we're using the term Orthodox Catholic, and there was a long footnote saying, that was an imperfect term. It could, refer to Orthodox Judaism, Greek Orthodox. And so we kind of cast about, but what that term was designed to capture, because we were talking about conscientious objection, was a judge who accepted the church's teaching that the death penalty would be impermissible in that case. We wrote about it from the perspective of a Catholic judge because my professor, John Garvey, had already undertaken that project, but it's really a problem that could face a judge of any religion or no religion at all who had a conscientious objection to the death penalty.
Do you consider yourself an Orthodox Catholic?
I am a Catholic, Senator Durbin. Orthodox Catholic, we kind of, as I said in that article, we just kind of use that as a proxy. It is not, to my knowledge, a term currently in use, but if you're asking whether I take my faith seriously and I'm a faithful Catholic, I am, although I would stress that my personal church affiliation or my religious belief would not bear on the discharge of my duties as a judge.
There are many people who might characterize themselves as Orthodox Catholics who now question whether Pope Francis is an Orthodox Catholic. I happen to think he's a pretty good Catholic.
I agree with you.
Good. Then that's good common ground for us to start with.
What do you think, Senator Torquemada? The Inquisition. It's like, I mean,
Do they think that that her religious beliefs are going to affect her judicial decisions?
that's
or
what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. And they're referring to this article she wrote 20 years ago, as she was referencing, Professor Barrett referencing, about judges who have a conscientious objection to adjudicating capital cases. So they argued that you recuse yourself if you have such a moral objection. Okay. Here's something else for consideration. And it's amazing to me how tolerant people are of bigotry towards Catholics and Christians, which is what was on display there. It's incredible to me how indulgent people are when they see someone being targeted, attacked by the government or its agents for their religious beliefs. Just, it's a very dangerous place we're in when that exchange between Professor Barrett and Di-Fi and Durbin is given a shoulder shrug in most places. Those are not shoulder shrug moments. They're not. And something else for consideration, since we're talking about the rule of law, we're talking about the Constitution, we're talking about Supreme Court jurisprudence and precedent, because we're talking about nominees to the appellate court. It may surprise the good Catholic Senator Dick Durbin and Di-Fi to learn that the men who wrote the founding documents were Christian. Mm-hmm. The men who have, and women, who've sat on the bench for these couple 100 years and change, some of those men, many of those men, and to a lesser extent women, since it's a more recent occurrence, of course, their opinions, their understanding of the Constitution, their understanding of the rule of law in a free society were informed by their Christianity. That's just a fact. Or their faith generally, for Jewish members of the bench as well, and other religious affiliations. The idea that you can separate your worldview from the execution of your professional responsibilities, it's this game we like to play, but it's not really true. Because what does your faith inform? Your character, mm-hmm. the values that you want to abide and want to see others emulate. This is not to suggest we have some kind of theocracy, of course. That's the First Amendment Establishment Clause, which I agree with. But this dance that people have to do while anti-Catholic bigots that are, to borrow a Dennis Millerism, Earl Shibed into looking somewhat consequential like Di-Fi and Durbin, can get away with this and continue the prosecution of secularizing America, expunging religion. The Establishment Clause prevents the establishment of a national religion. It is also supposed to, since this country was founded by people seeking religious freedom, fleeing religious persecution, it's also to provide safe haven for religious liberty. And we're so much more worried about people who have a long history of professional success, single-handedly imposing a theocracy. And by the way, these are the same people that have no problem with totalitarian Islamic theocracies in the Middle East and North Africa. I mean, the hypocrisy is so layered with the left, it's difficult to know where to begin. So much to peel back. So much more worried about that then they are the expungement of religious liberty in this country at the hands of the U.S. Senate, at the hands of the IRS. We're really focusing on the big things? Or are we being led down the path to purposely mistake the forest for the twigs by political hacks like Di-Fi and Durbin and other anti-Catholic and anti-religious bigots who are their own gods? Big government worshipers. It's a big question. And I'm glad Durbin and Di-Fi provided the display they did, because people should be contemplating this question. And you should take, we just played the clips, you should really go watch that hearing, at least the good portion of it, and more of the exchanges and context that we played. Don't have time for it here. You really should, and you should think about it. It's only a free society that's at stake. Chris in Riverside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thank you very much. 100% agreement. 2 quick points. Number one, I believe that at a practical level, Durbin was violating the Constitution because basically he's imposing a religious test. He wants to come up with some kind of inverted declaration that religion means nothing to me. That's the kind of secularism I think, Dan, you're referring to. Second, no one, if any one of your listeners has not gone into Durbin's background as a pro-lifer, and using his Catholic connections to get himself through the original primary to challenge Paul Findlay in Central Illinois in about 1982, he basically said, I am the altar boy for Congress, stick with me and I'll stick with you. And then as soon as he had a shot at the Senate, Dan, you know better than I, he flipped.
Yeah.
Those are my points. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Chris, and the history lesson. It's good. Yeah, that's right. Dick Durbin was a pro-life congressman from Central Illinois. Stick with me, and I'll stick it to you, is how it actually went down with Durbin, because he is amoral scum. He is a disgrace to the state. He's a disgrace to the nation. He's just mastered saying completely unreasonable, intolerant, offensive, disgusting, bigoted statements like you heard, in a very room temperature, sing-songy, kind of neutrally inquisitive voice. And, of course, the ducklings in this state fall for it over and over again, starting in 1996 when he beat Al Salvi. I mean, the stuff that we tolerate in Illinois, it's just remarkable to me. Dan in Evanston.
Oh, hi there.
Hey.
Yeah, I would have, on the last caller's point, the religious test, I would have, if I had been Barrett, I would have called both Dick and Di-Fi out on that and questioned their competency to be standing there in judgment. You know, they're standing in violation of the Constitution, and throw that right back on them.
Yeah.
Whether they're qualified to be in the position they are.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for the call, Dan.
Maybe they're being respectful.
I mean, it's a tough position for these nominees. You know, they're trying to get confirmed, obviously. Yeah. And frankly, you know, you get prepped by White House staff. Here's what they're going to do. Here's what they're going to say. Here's the article they're going to raise and the questions they're going to ask about this article. Here's what we want you to do, because we're nominating you not to have your William Jennings Bryan moment, but to make it to the appellate court so that you can adjudicate these cases at the appellate level.
Play it cool, play it calm, like you're in a deposition. Yeah. Don't say too much.
I mean, you're right. Somebody should make that point. Dan from Emerson's point is a fair one, and it shouldn't just be on talk radio. Where are the other senators on the Judiciary Committee? There are Republicans on the Judiciary Committee, you know, because they're in the majority in the Senate. This just in. Where's anybody to
up and stop them and say, this is not a religious test. What are you doing?
Absolutely. Where are other people? It's so interesting to me, right? Where are the people to provide the pushback? And it's always somebody else's responsibility. Where are the senators there? It's the same question. The Chicago media. Where are the people asking, other than us and Hugh Hewitt and talk radio, for some accountability for Louis Gutierrez's statements against General Kelly, a Gold Star father? He's a disgrace to the uniform he used to wear.
He still wears a uniform, by the way.
Well, okay, fair enough.
But Gaito doesn't even probably know that.
the complete pass that intolerant bigots, demagogues, hateful, small, little people, and I mean that in a character sense, not a physical sense, like El Gaito and Durbin, what they get away with? What they get away with?
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.